Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today? It's beautiful out here today, isn't it? Yes, last time we were freezing, cold, windy, and today we got a nice breeze. It's sunny. The shade over here is going to keep moving. You guys are eventually probably going to get in the sun, by the way, just so you know, because it's going to move this way.
You're not going to talk that long, are you?
No, but he might.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll start with our mission statement. We exist to coach others on how to navigate life with God's Word. Trudy Sturmer's birthday is on Friday, June the 11th. Joan and Art, happy anniversary. That is today. Randy and Linda S. Crelly are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary on Saturday, August the 9th at 1 o'clock with a meal in the church social hall. The church family is invited. Please come and be part of their special day. Today is the last day to RSVP, so let them know. Offering buckets are in the back, so you can drop your offering in. And if you're online, you have a link that you can also give to our church. No matter how you give, we do thank you because it does help us with our day-to-day operations. I also want to welcome Troy Miller today. He is our live music. You guys are in for an amazing treat. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Ross. Give me 1 second.
Good morning. And first of all, thank you for coming back. To those of you who attended the first part of this series in June, thank you for coming back. For the newcomers, thank you for coming. We hope it's worth coming out here and sitting out here to listen to this. This is a 4-part series that I've entitled Finding the Spirit, Finding God in Your Life. And this is the second part of that series. We're going to do another one in August, another one in September as well. We'll be out here doing this again. I do again want to thank Troy Miller. Thank you so much for coming out here and doing the live music for us. It's nice to see you here at St. Luke and not being chased by the IRS or the cops or federal agents. All right, it's nice to see you here just as Troy Miller. All right. All right, so obviously this weekend was July 4th. And my message is certainly not on the July 4th holiday, but I do want to talk about that just a little bit. It is the 249th anniversary, or birthday, excuse me, of the country. I think there's a round of applause for America. 249 years for America on this one. And I want to do a little story that also includes a prayer. And it is related to the July 4th holiday, all right? This story is about 2 very famous Americans. One is George Washington, and the other is a little bit less famous. It's John Marshall, the future Supreme Court Justice. And one fine morning, George and John Marshall were taking a ride. In fact, they were headed to a meeting of Congress. And George Washington, who was an excellent horseman, he was a very good horseman. All right, he liked the ride a lot. And John was riding next to him. And there was a nice morning like this, and George probably got to the top of a hill like this, and he said, "Hey, John, you want to race?" And John Marshall said, "Oh, I'm not that great a horseman, but it's the president, right? The first president of the United States of America. You can't say no to the guy." So he's like, "All right, George, I'll race you," all right? So George is rather excited. I mean, if George lived today, he'd own this big fancy sports car, and he would be burning rubber out there on Burkholder. Let me tell you, that's what George Washington would be doing. So George takes off on his horse, and John Marshall tries to keep up, all right? And of course, when you're riding a horse, unless, as those of you who are horsemen know, unless you're riding it correctly, it can be uncomfortable if you don't know how to post. And John Marshall certainly did not know how to post correctly. And in the process of riding this horse, he split his britches on his way to a meeting of Congress, all right? So he split them, and the tear was in a rather strategic location, to say the least, all right? So they get to their location, and they dismount, and John Marshall's about to walk into a meeting of the United States Congress. The future Supreme Court Justice and he's got a big split in his pants. And so what do, right? You gotta go, you gotta do this. So he pulls out his handkerchief. I'll demonstrate here. All right? Pulls out his handkerchief, and this is actually a true story, guys. This is at the Mount Vernon estate. They actually have this story printed there. Pulls out his handkerchief, and he holds it like this as he walks in to the Continental Congress, all right, the United States Congress. And George Washington, we all know George Washington. Normally, he has that very stern face, right, from the dollar bill. George was always about decorum and professionalism, right, and you always kept a straight face. That was George Washington. But in this instance, when he watched his friend John Marshall walk into Congress holding a fig leaf in front of him, he lost it. He just became absolutely taken over by laughter. And when he became overtaken by laughter, we all know George had fake teeth. His fake teeth started to fall out of his mouth. So John Marshall and George Washington, these paragons of our constitutional republic, walked into a meeting of the United States Congress, one with a hanky in front of him, and the other trying to hold his fake teeth in. And what's the point of this story? Laugh. Don't take yourself too seriously in life. Life becomes absurd, there's messes, things go wrong, and the best thing you can do is just laugh. Never take yourself too seriously. You know, we look at our founding fathers and they're like cardboard cutouts, aren't they? Or we look at them and they're just always stern. They look at us back from portraits. But in reality, these were guys and gals just like you and me, and they laughed. They had a good time. All right, so my prayer for all of you today, because we're going to talk about imperfections and things that don't go right in our lives and mistakes that we do, is to sometimes just laugh and enjoy. And I hope you'll laugh and enjoy both Troy and myself up here today as we deliver this message to you. Amen.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be back at St. Luke. This is wonderful. I got a lot of nice compliments from a bunch of you today. They were like, Troy, you look so good. This color looks good on you. And I'm like, well, a lot better than a bright orange jumpsuit, I think, from the last time I was here. Got to witness a miracle this morning as well, which was wonderful. Those of you who were downstairs in the social hall, you got to have those 0-calorie sticky buns. I mean, that was incredible. And Amanda, I'm really impressed with your dedication to those sticky buns. We heard the story right there about that whole thing. That's pretty amazing. So in the play, those of you that were at the Christmas play, I played a fugitive that usually gets thrown around by Ross. So the introduction this morning, Ross, was much better than the last one. I actually played a fugitive getting chased around by cops and kind of lost in his ways. And I also play a rock star. Hopefully after I'm done here, you'll see that I really don't just play a rock star. I used to be one. I used to tour around and stuff and went out to LA for a while and tried to become a rock star. It's harder than you think, but God still blessed me with the talent to play. So it's a great day, and that's what this song is called. Hope you enjoy it. Woke up this morning, struggling with my head, looking toward the ground. Nothing positive there to be said. What a worry, what a worry. So I look out my window and I see snow. And now I know it's a great day to be alive, yeah. It's a great day to be alive. walking toward the street. People walking head down, nobody got a chance to meet. What a worry, what a worry. Got the worries on their mind. Check the watches, everybody gotta be on time. My wife's mad at me, kissing money. Oh my gosh, this stuff's not funny. What we gotta do, yeah, what we gotta say is, yeah, everything's okay, 'cause God knows the way for me. God shows me my way, and oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's a great day to be alive. Oh, sometimes it's cold outside on our Christmas play. Sometimes it's raining outside on our wedding day. Sometimes the money's so tight and those bills we can't pay. Sometimes you need to communicate, not sure what to say. Oh, but persevere we must. Persevere and trust. God knows the way. And it's a great day to be alive, yeah. Oh, it's a great day to be alive, yeah, yeah, yeah. La 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 la. Whoa, 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 yeah. It's a great day.
All right, quick recap from June when we talked about finding the Spirit, the first part of this series. And in that message, I talked about how all of us are on a journey. We're on a journey to find God in our life. And we talked about how the Spirit actually moves. Just like everything else in the natural world and God's world moves, we are also on a journey too to find that Spirit. And sometimes you can hear God really, clearly in your ear. And other times he seems really distant. And when he seems distant, that is our signal, hey, I got to go do something. I got to change the way I'm doing something. Maybe I got to go somewhere. I got to put myself in a position where I can best hear God, right? That's what you're always trying to do. You want to put yourself in proximity to God at all times in your life. He's like a magnet. He's pulling you towards him. Think of it, I use the analogy of Moses. Moses had to travel to the top of a mountain to hear God. And then he had to walk all the way back down the mountain in order to bring the message to the people. And so all of us are on some sort of journey. It may not be physical, but it also could be intellectual, emotional, mental, whatever it is, a combination of all of those. But whatever it is, you're on a journey to put yourself in the closest proximity to God in your life so you can hear him very clearly. So today's theme is going to be where, the location. Where do I go? Because if I say, hey, you're going on a journey, the next question is going to be, could you please give me an address? Right? We want an address. Where do we find God in our life? Where's the best place? It'll be different for all of you, of course, but I'll give you some kind of general guidance in this, in my own opinion on where to find God. And of course, I'm going to tell you a story to start this off with, and my visual aid will be these beautiful doors back here, okay? Now, I've told you guys a lot in my messages to you. I often talk about the things I cannot do very well. So you guys know that I can't throw a ball, all right? I can't change the oil on a car, all right? I can't hunt, I can't fish, and another thing that I can't do very well is carpentry work, all right? In fact, I'm terrible at any type of woodworking or carpentry work in general. And I look at that right now. If you guys turn, you see that beautiful playhouse back there that Al and some of the very talented craftsmen at this church put together for the preschool. I look at that, and guys, I look on that playhouse back there with the same sense of amazement that I get when I watch the Apollo 11 moon landing. I'm like, are you serious? Humans are able to take building materials and assemble them into something that actually doesn't just fall apart when somebody stands on it or leans on it or sits on it, like my projects. But however, like all men, I feel sometimes I gotta be handy, and I try my hand at carpentry work. Witness these doors. See, the barn on the property, it needed new hayloft doors, okay? So I decided I was gonna try my hand at building some doors. And I got out the measuring tape, and I got out the hinges, and I got out the saw, and this is what I assembled, and I hung them on the barn, and that's about how they looked. That right there is about how those doors looked, okay? Now, I grant you, because I know we got like Jay's a master woodsman, woodworker here. I believe my measuring was a bit off. Just a little, like an inch, maybe a half an inch, right? It's close enough, right? But it was, and I don't know what this thing is. Maybe this is a feature, okay? And we didn't really rough out these edges either. But you know, hey, this is what I got. But I hung it up and I realized this isn't gonna work. Like, this is a mess, all right? And this is, guys, this is how it looked. So I waved the white flag of surrender, and we called in Jim Sparks, a professional contractor. I bet you some of you guys know Jim Sparks. He's a wonderful man, an excellent contractor, an excellent American craftsman. If you need work done, you should call Jim Sparks to do the work for you. Now, I thought that Jim Sparks would be able to take these doors and sort of, I was like, well, maybe he can just kind of wiggle it. I don't know, you know, like just lean it a little closer and it could be perfect, right? It'll work. And Jim came up and he looked at his doors and he was like, whoa. And I could tell that man felt physical pain, actual physical pain to look at this and acknowledge that a human male assembled that and put it up on the barn, okay? Jim Sparks felt physical pain. He's like, no. He's like, I'm gonna have to go back with my nephew and we'll build you some new doors. So he goes for a week with his nephew, and they come back a week later and they bring these big, beautiful, perfect, that's the key word, perfect doors. All right, and he hangs it up, and he's so excited. He brings me out, he's like, Ross, you gotta look at these. He's like, aren't these beautiful? He's like, look, and I'll get you, guys, the guy is talented. They're perfect doors. They line up straight, the angles are perfect. They had weather stripping. What a beauty that weather stripping is. It does wonders to keep out rain, okay? These things were beautiful, sanded down real nice. They open easily, like these dragged on the floor. Perfect doors. I thought I'd be overjoyed when I looked at those doors. I thought I'd be so excited. But I looked at those perfect doors and I did not feel that way. I was like, they're perfect, but they lack one thing. They lack one thing. And I looked over at these doors. They were thrown over the side, ready to go to the burn pit. And I looked at them and I thought, you know, they're not right. They're a mess. They're not functional doors. Let's just get that out of the way. They are not functional. I understand that. But you know what they had? There was a spirit. There was a soul to their imperfection. They certainly weren't right, but I tried. I tried something that I could not do, and I tried to put together something, right? It didn't work out, but at least I tried. They had a spirit. Those doors, as much of a mess as they are, they got a spirit, there's a soul to them. And how often is that the case? That in your life, I bet you all have something, it might be a family heirloom, a furniture item, a piece of jewelry, a dress, a grandpa's hunting rifle, something that has been passed down over the generations in your life, and it's nicked and it's bruised. Maybe it's broken, it's torn, but you look at it and you could go to a factory and they would have a computer and a robot that would make it the same item perfect. But you don't do that, do you? You hold on to that old item that has the nicks and the bruises and the imperfections in it. Why? Because there's a spirit to it. It's got a soul to it. There's no spirit, there's no soul in perfection. Why is that? Why is that? Well, because God, our Creator, made a world that is imperfect, deliberately so. Ladies and gentlemen, God is in the imperfection of the world. That's how He wanted it to be. Look at these trees. Look at everything that is living around us, guys. If I took a microscope and I looked at the very molecular level of that tree, down to the very cells, I would find cells that are defective, that are imperfect. Do you know that all of us as humans, and this drives supermodels insane, are not symmetrical? The left side of your body, if maybe just by a few degrees, does not line up with the right side of your body. That's for all of us. God made you that way. You're one of your feet, and I bet you none of you know which foot is which, all right? Which one is bigger than the other, but one of your feet is bigger than the other foot. Every single one of you was made like that. You were built by God to be imperfect. Everything he built is imperfect. Everything he created and touched was built with imperfections in it. But here's the thing, as humans, do we like that? No, we look at imperfections, we look at that, and it's like Jim Sparks, right? We're like, oh, no, we got to make perfection here. That can't be. We got to get rid of that. I don't want that. I want it to be perfect. We got to get everything to line up, everything to be straight, everything to be perfect in our life. That's what we want. But here's the thing, guys. When we do that, when we strive for that, we'll never find God. We'll never find the Spirit. God is in the imperfections in life because God is in reality. Reality, the real world that God created, is imperfect. It's got problems, it's got mistakes, it's got confrontations, it's got issues. That's how he built it to be. That's how he created it. That's where he's at. See, God is in the real world. And so when you can finally say, you know what? I accept a life that is imperfect. And when I do that, when I say I accept a life that is imperfect, what I'm saying is I accept the real world. I accept reality for what it is. And when I accept reality, guess who I also accept? And guess who I will find? Spirit. You'll find God. God is present in the real world. And you're saying, well, I live in the real world. Why can't I always see him? Why can't I always feel him in my life? Because guess what? As humans, we do a really good job of trying to escape reality. Run away from the imperfections and the problem in our life. And it's not a unique or original problem to 2025. It's been going on since the very dawn of human civilization. Let's go all the way back to the first book of the Bible, Genesis, the very first page. And whether you see it just as a creation myth or a creation story, or you treat it as historical fact, the meaning is the same. Adam and Eve, they eat from the apple of the tree of knowledge. And when they do so, what happens? They look down at their naked bodies, and what are they? They're ashamed, they're scared. And we misread this story. What they're ashamed and scared of is because they just got self-awareness. They just became self-conscious about themselves. They say, oh my goodness, my left foot is bigger than my right foot. I'm imperfect. And instead of letting that guide them to God and keep them close to God, what did they do? They ran away. They ran away. They would not accept the reality. They had the knowledge now. They had done what God told them not to do. They had the knowledge, and they ran away from it. They ran away from the reality, and they ran and hid from God. And God was angry with them. Because one, they did what he told them not to do, and two, they were now hiding from him. The imperfections of themselves, they did not let that imperfection bring them to God. They did not accept the reality. Instead, they ran from it, and they hid. And he decided, you know what? For generations yet to be born, every child will face this same problem. All of us here, you and you and you and you and you, all of you will face the same problem. How do I accept an imperfect world? How do I accept the problems I face? How do I accept my reality so that I can get back to God? So that I can get back to be in proximity to God. Let's face it, guys, we do a really good job of trying to sort of escape everything, all the problems in our life. When faced with a problem, we do all these little escapist things in our heads. We think, I'm not going to deal with that problem. I don't want to deal with it. I'll go watch TV. I'll deal with that tomorrow. Or maybe we say, you deal with this problem. I don't want to deal with this issue. Hey, this is very imperfect. It looks like a mess. It looks like these doors. I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to step back. Right? We play little mental mind games. Maybe we say, you get that guy who's looking at a problem, instead of facing the problem in the present and saying, this is what I face right now, instead of accepting that, what do? Maybe we're nostalgic. You get that guy who says, Oh, well, 10 years ago, we didn't have these issues. Oh, things were great back then. Nostalgia. Nostalgia. Nostalgia is an escapist tendency, where you get that guy who only thinks in the future. All they think about is what could be, instead of facing right here, right now, the reality I inhabit and the problem I face right now. All they think about is the future, and that too is an escapist tendency. God's not living in the future, and he's not living in the past. He lives right here, right now. He's present here. At 10 o'clock in the morning, he's here in the reality you are living through right now, as imperfect as it might be. There's lots of other things we do to try and not face reality, to get away from the problems in our life. I love this quote. It says that when the times get tough, the tough go shopping. Isn't that so true? That's a great way to distract yourself from life's problems. Grab the credit card and just go shopping. Buy something, and I'll distract myself from the problems of life. And other people do maybe harmful behaviors. Think about alcoholics. Right? They go and they drink, and they'll all tell you the same thing. I drink to get away from the problems in my life, the imperfections. And maybe they even turn to drugs. There's harmful behaviors sometimes when we try and escape reality, when we're just like Adam and Eve and running away from God. It's all the same, guys. It's all the same. We're not journeying towards him. We're not accepting reality and accepting the problems and issues in our life. Instead, we're running away from him, and you'll never find him that way. You only find God in the real world. In the real world he created. I know people tell me that faith is belief in the unseen. Faith is belief in something I can't prove, and I actually personally disagree. Faith is belief in reality. The reality God created. Faith is belief in a real world. Faith is belief that every day we get handed a hand of cards, and some days it's a really good hand of cards, and other days it's a lousy hand of cards, and some days, or most days, it's probably just a so-so hand of cards, and I have to accept that and deal with it as it comes. That's reality. That's like everything else on this planet, that in this universe that God ever created. That's how it works. That's the real world. That's where God is present. And I gotta be here right now in the present in order to find him. Now, I'm gonna conclude this with a couple practical examples in my life of imperfections and being present in the moment where I found God, okay? And I have a visual aid for this first one. You guys will like this. We got a family photo. This is the family photo that hung on the walls in the house for decades, okay? And you guys will probably notice in this photo that this is the St. Luke directory photo. Yeah, this is the photo taken here at St. Luke, all right? You guys remember when we did those, okay? And if you notice in this photo, who is not smiling? Yeah, there's somebody not smiling in this photo. Who's not smiling? Yeah, me. I'm the one not smiling. All right, and the story goes like this. We walked into the social hall, and there was a photographer down there, and there were some kids, and if the kids didn't smile or act right for the photo, the photographer would throw them a stuffed animal. So I was like, you know what? I really want a stuffed animal. So I'm not going to do what my mother wants me to do and cooperate. I'm going to have a frown. So I sat there with that look. And you know what? This is the best part of the story. He never threw me the stuffed animal. I never got what I was looking for, okay? But what's funny is he took the picture, and this hung on the wall for decades. It is the family photo. Now, why do I like this photo so much? Because, you know, when we take family photos, how often do we want the photo to be perfect? Everybody's smiling, everybody loves each other, right? It's supposed to look like a Hallmark movie, isn't it? That's what you want, your family photo. And you know what, guys, I hate to say it, and I'm sorry to you, those of you who like Hallmark movies. They're fantasies. They're escapist, okay? You're running away from reality when you watch it. It's fun to do sometimes, I get it. It's enjoyable for a little bit, but it's not reality. No family is perfect. No family, not everybody doesn't always get along. They're all dysfunctional. I don't care what you tell me about how perfect your family is. It's not the truth. Okay? It's just not the truth. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is reality. That's why I like it. And I think that's why my mother liked it and hung it on the wall, because this is what families look like. Somebody's throwing a wrench in the plans. Somebody's not cooperating. And you know, if it's reality, guess what's there in reality? Say it. God. God is in this photo. This is the real world. This is what it looks like. All right? But at least you know what? We're all together. We are all together. It's still a family. Right? This is God's family too. God's family is everybody. Not everybody gets along. That's okay. All right? Another one I got for you. All right? Tim videotapes the services now. All right? And I faithfully watch all the services. And I just want to say to all the speakers here at St. Luke, Sister Joy and Jen and Terry, they do an excellent job. And it's just great speakers. And I love watching it on YouTube. And what's interesting is sometimes then I'll watch myself again too. And the camera in the sanctuary, it's like from above, so you can see the top of your head. And I have noticed when I watch myself from that angle, one time I was watching, I was like, there's a white patch up here. I'm like, there's this white patch. I'm like, what is that? I was like, is that the glare from the camera? I'm like, Tim, you need to improve your video, like the camera in the sanctuary. I was like, what is that? And then I run my hand. I'm like, I'm balding. I'm 37. I'm losing my hair. And it's glowing in the camera angle. All right? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And Amanda cuts my hair, and I always ask her when I'm getting my haircut, I say, hey, do I still have a lot of hair up there? And it's beautiful. She says, you have more hair now than when I met you. What a bald-faced lie that is. But it's you know, I want to believe it. I want to believe it. But now I know the truth. Tim has shown me the reality that I face, which is I'm balding. All right? Now here's the problem. Then I watched Terry Robinson. Darla, Terry's a good-looking dude, okay? When he gets up there in that suit, okay, and he's got a nice head of hair, he looks like the Chanceford Township version of Tom Brokaw from NBC Nightly News, okay? He just looks good. He looks good on camera. And so I'm watching Terry in this message, and I want to listen to it. But the whole time I'm going, should I wear a suit? Would that make me look better? Like, oh, he doesn't sweat. Oh, my goodness. Like, he's got that nice hair. Should I get, like, there's hair grafting techniques and grow hair on my forehead? Or maybe I should just go all, you know, Joel Persing on this thing and just shave it right off. I'll look like Mr. Clean, okay? And I get to the end of the message of Terry, and he says, amen. And you know what I just realized? The whole time I was not facing reality, the whole time I was, you know, fighting my imperfections, I never took the time to listen to that message. I never heard it. I never got the chance for spiritual growth. Because instead of being present in the moment and just saying, I am what I am, I'm losing my hair, it is what it is, I was focused on trying to fight it. I wasn't accepting it. I wasn't accepting reality. So I lost out on a chance to feel the message and feel the Spirit. Another one, the other night, and Tim knows the problem I'm going to be talking about, I took the dog for a walk. Took the dog for a walk. I had a beautiful German Shepherd named Jake. Took him out for a walk. And there's an issue at hand that Tim knows all about and is struggling with as well. And I was struggling with it. I got very angry. Instead of just saying, you know what it is, and let me just go out and walk this dog and enjoy this 30 minutes with this dog right now. This beautiful creature, which God's love is in that creature, and God's love is truly in a good dog. It'll love you even when you're angry at it. It puts its paw on your lap and licks your face. That's God's love. But you know what I got? I was so angry at the issue at hand, thinking about the future, thinking about the past, not being present. You know what I did? I got angry at the dog. I yelled at him. He ran after a rabbit, and that's not his fault. Dogs go after rabbits. I got angry at him. Guess who I got angry at, though? I got angry at God. I wouldn't accept reality. I wouldn't just say, you know, life is about problems. Instead, I fought it. I wouldn't accept reality. I wouldn't be present in the moment. I got angry at that animal who all wanted to do was give me love. And how often do you do that in your life? You go through life and you're angry about an issue. You come home from work and you're like, ah. And there's people who love you who want to show you that love, and you push them away. You get grouchy with them. You're grumpy. You're moody. We've all done that. And when we do that, we're running away from God. We're running away from the Spirit. It's right there. The love is there, and we're walking away from it because we won't accept reality. We won't just be present in the moment. Say, bygones are bygones. That was the problem I dealt with 6 hours ago. I'm now just here in the moment to experience God's love. Final example. Many of you know Adeline, my daughter, spent about 2 weeks in the NICU at York Hospital. And during that 2 weeks, I would try and get in the evenings to go see her, okay? And when I would go in every night, obviously you're always worried about your kid in the NICU, and there's a lot of things going through your mind. Nobody wants to go to the hospital. And when you walk in, I would always do one thing. I'd stop at that little coffee shop on the first floor of the hospital, and I'd get a cup of coffee. And the guy who made the coffee was the same guy every night. And I never talked to him, but he would always, after he knew my order, he'd always every night make sure there was a cup of coffee on the counter for me. I never talked to this man. I never knew his name. We never exchanged any type of dialogue. But if he would see me, he'd go make that cup of coffee, put it on the counter. In fact, if he was on break and he saw me come in, he'd put down his phone and he'd go make me the cup of coffee. There were other people who could do it for him, but he always went and made me that cup of coffee. And of course, I wasn't really living in the moment too much. I was thinking about the future and the past and not accepting reality, so I never really stopped to thank the guy. On the last day when Adeline was discharged, I finally came to my senses. I was like, you know, that guy for 2 weeks made me a cup of coffee. He was always here, and he was always making sure it was on the counter for me. I need to go up and thank him and give him a tip and at least know his name, right? And so on our way out the hospital, I glanced in to the coffee shop. And guys, understand, this man had been working there every day I was in the hospital. He was gone. He was gone. And I now believe that had I walked up to that guy, had been living in the present, accepting reality, if I walked up and said, hey, can I know your name and can I shake your hand? What do you believe? Maybe he would have said, I'm God. Right? I'm right here. I'm right here with you. I'm giving just a little thing, a cup of coffee to make you just one little pick me up in your life. I'm here, but because you're not accepting reality, because you're thinking about the future and the past and everything else, and you're not just living in the moment, living in the present, you're walking right past me. How often do you guys do this? How often do we all do this? How often are we walking through life and we want to believe that God is going to appear to us in a big ball of light and he's going to be wearing a really nice white robe and a big gray beard, really nice beard like Phil Conrad's? Phil, you got a nice beard. How often do we think that'll be God? But guys, guess what? That's probably a fantasy. You know what reality is? God could be anywhere. He could be anyone. How much you want to bet he was the guy behind the counter making you a cup of coffee every night and making sure it was there for you. And you never stopped to say, hi, thank you. Could I talk to you? Because you weren't in the moment. You weren't in reality. We're playing mental mind games in our heads. We're not just here. It should give you goosebumps in your life, maybe how many times you've walked right past God and he was right there. The Spirit was right there. And once you come to your senses and the crisis is over, he moves on. He wasn't there anymore. He's moved on. And so guys, my prayer for all of you is that as we go forward this month, start living in the present. Start accepting the reality you inhabit. Embrace the imperfections. Embrace something that looks like this in your life so you can find the Spirit. Because when you can accept reality, accept the real world with all of its imperfections and problems, when you can finally do that, as painful as those imperfections might be, guess who you'll see standing right in front of you? God. And if he's standing right in front of me, and I can reach out and feel his presence, what can I do now? And this is the segue into next month. I can talk to him. I can pray. Amen.
Wow. That's pretty good right there, Ross. Pretty darn good. That was really neat. I took a lot of things personal with that. That was a very great message. And as I go through my life, I used to try to think as many ways as possible how I was perfect. And then I thought about my golf game, and yeah, that really helps me realize a lot of these things. No, but it's great to hear that message because me personally, yeah, I do try. I think we all try to be as perfect as we can be. And I have a real personal kind of thing here to talk about, which is really exciting. God's perfect, though, especially his timing, right? So I'm an alcoholic and been struggling with it for a very long time. And through talking with my wife recently. Right now, I'm 7 days sober. And that's really cool because I never, ever, 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 ever played live music in front of people sober. So today is a first. And it's like, hey, wow, how cool is that, you know? And I was wondering, like, how I knew Ross's message is going to tie in there because we're dealing with God. I knew it was coming. I was like, this is going to be exciting. And so I just kind of felt it in my heart to share that. So it's really neat. And it's not that bad. Actually, I'm loving it. This is great. So hallelujah. And God works miracles. And I'm looking forward to, having a more real life, and face. I get anxious, stage fright, believe it or not. I have horrible stage fright, and that calms it down. But facing the fear and facing it feels great up here. So this is wonderful, and praise God. This song is called Chase It. And I wrote this about basically if you have a dream or you have something inside, you have an inspiration, hey, just go after it. Like, chase it. Don't worry about what's going to happen if you fail or if you're not perfect and people make fun of you. Oh, well, then yeah, sweet. Then you're perfect, I guess, in that sense. So chase it. If you have a dream, chase it. If you have a dream, chase it. Many people in this world don't know. Foot in front of the other, and off you go. Off on your goal, chase it. You got to get up and chase it. If you have hope, spread it. If you have hope, spread it. Many people in this world get down low. If you have that hope, spread it around, watch their frown turn upside down. Go ahead and spread it. You got to get up and spread it. Someday you'll see the light. Hold on to it with all your might. I promise you I'll stand beside you if it's too bright. Light it, chase it, spread it. Light it, chase it, spread it. Light it, chase it, spread it. Thank you, guys.
Troy, thank you. And I just want to say, Troy Miller, you really are one of the most talented, unique humans that I have ever known, okay? And I just really, let's have a round of applause again for and just come up here and to perform like that and to share what you share, it really takes a lot of guts, all right? So that's impressive, and God walks with you for sure, all right? All right, let's conclude. Let's bow our heads and we'll recite the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive us our trespasses against us. Lead us our trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Go in peace and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Amen.